Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well. This video is about a little worry that I have, and I really wanted to share it with as many people as possible. And it's related to privacy, and it's related to the current epidemic or pandemic that's going on, the COVID pandemic. So basically, the idea is the following. Whenever we're in a crisis, whenever there's a lot of fear involved, we tend to shut down, and our vision is very limited. It's basically limited on that which is imminently important to us for our survival right now. We don't have the broader spectrum, the broader context. We don't often see that, and so we react in quite predictive ways. And I'm afraid that right now we might be doing this, and so I just want to share a perspective, a broader perspective of what is going on right now and what might happen if we don't pay attention to it, if we're not aware of it. So to give you an example, I want to start with the past. That's the best way. Take a crisis that happened before. Let's take 9/11. So 9/11 happened, and it involved a lot of fear. And a consequence of it was that people were willing to give up their rights so that they could be protected against terrorists in that case. So what ended up happening was that new laws were passed. The Patriot Act came in the United States, and people were basically giving up their rights just so that the government could protect them. Was that what happened then? Was that what the government proceeded doing? Well, if you look at who was actually prosecuted using those laws, based on those laws, not many terrorists. And many of the people, well, I'm not going to go into who was and who wasn't prosecuted, I'll leave that part for today, but basically no. And if you look at what happened in general, was this just used to protect the people, and then when there was no need to protect, it wasn't used in any way? Where actually it opened the door a little bit, and then the government opened it itself much more than people even knew. In 2013, with the help of Snowden, we discovered that there was a massive surveillance that was going on. The phone calls of pretty much everyone were being monitored, and nobody knew about it. There is a lot of information that we didn't know about. There was a mass surveillance going on, so less and less privacy. So let's come back now to the COVID epidemic. We're in a crisis, a lot of fear is going on. What is probably going to happen? Logically, it is my belief that we're moving in the direction of now losing the privacy of our own body. We're giving up access to our bodies. So immediate consequences may be, for instance, a mandatory vaccination for everyone. And of course, in the beginning, a lot of people will say, yes, this is what we've been waiting for. Thank you, government. We want this. It's like, you're protecting us from the terrorists, great. But is that what is going to happen? Or will the government then, or whoever it is, open the door a little bit more after the mandatory vaccinations? What else will be used? How else will it be used? What about all of the technologies that is being developed regarding our bodies? Monitoring our bodies, monitoring the temperature of our body, the heart rate variability, even EKG, sleep patterns, everything. Well, what about all of that? What about the technology that can recognize your facial patterns and find all the micro expressions and let you know, oh, this is how you're feeling? You know, right now there are some really amazing and fun and interesting and useful things being developed, and I believe that they should be developed. For instance, there is artificial intelligence that is being used for autistic people or people on the autism spectrum that helps them interpret the expressions of the people they're interacting with, letting them know, oh, this guy is really bored right now, or this guy is so happy to see you, so that they can get that feedback and be able to interact better with people. Great, really good. And right now these companies say yes, and we're only going to do it for the good of humanity and everything. But look, at the same time, right now, what is being discussed? What new laws are being discussed? They're actually discussing a law that would basically mean that there has to be a backdoor for government when it comes to all platforms. All social platforms, all types of centralized platforms. So that would include these companies as well. So even though the company might say, no, we're doing it for the best of humanity, if they don't comply and give out the data, they won't be able to function. So this is what is going on right now. So the thing is, we might be giving up our right to our bodies and privacy that way. What can we do? What can we do in this situation? Number one, be aware of this. Be aware of this wider context of what is going on so that you can make decisions based on this. So so that you can choose the options that might provide you with an alternative. An alternative how? If I just said that every company that has a platform will have to have a backdoor, if that law passes, and it probably will. What do you mean? Well, since at least 10 years now, new types of technologies are being developed that do not depend on a central core of power. So you don't need to have a hierarchy and a center and centers of power. Instead, it's more like a network. Everything is spread out. So there is no place where all the information is being held and sent to the government, or held so that hackers can come in and steal it. There is no central information like that, for instance. Or there's no central access. There is no head of a company. There is no person in power, which is kind of great, because when people are in power, very often there's so many factors coming in, and it's so easy to succumb to corruption, even for people that would say never, I wouldn't. And then things happen, and somehow, well, I don't know what happened. And so human nature is really not very good when it comes to being in a position of power. And we have these new technologies that are starting to come in. So if you see a technology like that, for instance, you're looking for a health monitoring device. I really want to know my sleep patterns, my whatever it is. And you see, wow, this company actually provides a decentralized option. Now, decentralized can also be a little keyword that people kind of post, like a blockchain. You might see blockchain technology, but it doesn't really have to mean anything. So even if you just use the word decentralized, it doesn't mean that there's privacy automatically. But if you look into it, and it is truly decentralized in the important ways for whatever purpose it is you're using it, then go with that option. Be aware of it. keep looking for it, keep asking for it. Because when more and more people look for it and ask for it and choose it, that's a way for us to move away from the massive surveillance that is centralized. But why is this privacy so important anyway, right? So I'm not a criminal. I don't mind if they check my bodily temperature. Yes, right now you may feel that way, but the thing is that if this data is stored, maybe in the future what you're doing right now will be a criminal act. And so in the future you might be actually punished for things that you did in the past. And maybe in the future, when you're watching something and all the data from your body will tell others you don't agree with this person, you're really mad at this person, and this is the big leader that you're supposed to like, well then you might be punished. This kind of system is already being used in China, of course, the social points there. You get less and less social points if you do not act according to what is considered a proper citizen. And so you have to comply with a lot of things. And if you don't, then you don't get access to public transport and other things, loans and so on. And kind of that is the problem. You don't want to give up your privacy. And privacy is the basis for all other rights. If you don't have privacy, you essentially lose all the other rights. So this is really important. And we're now in a time when we're moving away from it, even physically. This is why I would love as many people as possible to be able to be aware of this, and in any way they can, find alternatives and use them and share those alternatives. This is it pretty much. If you're interested in learning more about this kind of thought, take a look at my book. It's called The Devil is in the Structure. You can get it on Amazon and you can get it on Kindle. I have set it to the lowest price there, so I think you can download it very easily. Also on my website you can get an audiobook of it if you prefer it that way. So thank you very much for listening to this video. I hope you find it interesting. I hope you think about it, and I'd love to hear your comments, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care.